Excited to talk to you about the mindfulness model, emotional and mental intelligence via mindfulness. And I think what's interesting to me about emotional and mental intelligence is that no one teaches us this stuff. Emotional and mental health is such a key part of our well being day to day. And how to understand our swirling thoughts and feelings and emotions is so critical to living a healthy, balanced life where you feel good. The world, we talk about mental illness, but not about mental health, about the other stuff, which to me is 90% of it. So the amazing part is, as athletes, we have tools around our thoughts that we don't even know we have. For example, visualization, laser like focus, knowing how to overcome and not listen to all the voices in our head telling us that we can't do that one more sprint or that one more race. And like why it's so important to have strong emotional and mental intelligence. It's because everything that we hear in our brain or from our brain isn't true. Like, think about it. If you listen to everything your brain told you, life would be really challenging. You as an athlete would fall a lot shorter. If I listened to my brain screaming at me to stop sprinting, that I can't do one more sprint, I wouldn't have been able to do that next sprint and become the athlete that I became. So I want to offer to you that developing intelligence in these areas will literally change your life. It's changed mine. Like, I'm now so aware of my thoughts, catalyzing, massive change in how I think, my day-to-day happiness, and ability to really recognize how I'm feeling, what I'm thinking, and move through a lot of those negative feelings a lot faster, which means I feel lighter, I feel happier and better than I seriously ever have before. So when I walk through the mindfulness model, I believe there are a few key principles that are clutch, that are crucial to this mindfulness model. And so to give you some context on how I put this together, so basically I have done a lot of work on myself with others, I've read a lot of research, um, and I've taken different approaches from different people and really cherry picked the ones that I feel outline an approachable model that you can work with. So when we walk through the mindfulness model, we're walking through, how I've cherry picked different pieces of research and approaches to help you get through it. So let me walk through it. So we have four main components of the mindfulness model via the Kirby method. One is that your brain isn't always right. It's going to look for doubts and shortcuts. I call it our primal brain. It's designed to survive. So think about it. Back in the day when we were hunting and gathering and didn't have electricity, we were really just designed to survive. And so your primal brain will fill your mind with doubt and look for any shortcuts that don't help it in the long run. So, meaning, I guess, if you are perhaps working through, I feel, you may be stressed, or maybe you're sad, and it's very easy for your brain to turn to, oh, let me just have that piece of candy, or let me have that, bread with jam on it, some sugar, right? So it's looking for some shortcuts to help you deal with what's going on in the current situation. The second main component is that behind every feeling is a thought. So thoughts create our emotions, thoughts create our feelings. And this is straight from Brooke Castillo, the life coach school. And understanding what that thought is that's triggering that feeling or emotion is key. And that's how you can work through it. And for a lot of us, right, it's so ingrained, you may just feel no, I feel, anxious, or I feel sad, or I feel overwhelmed. And that thought to feeling is so instantaneous that a lot of times it takes some work to really uncover what that thought is that's triggering that feeling. So, for example, I could say I'm feeling really anxious right now. So what is the thought creating that anxiety? Well, I think last week I had a work presentation the next day, and I really wasn't sure, maybe sure how I was doing at work or what the client thought of me. So that was really for me triggering that anxiety. Or another example is I feel sad. What is the thought creating that sadness? I'm sad I missed the concert. I'm sad I missed seeing my friend who was in town. So those are more simplistic examples, but it gives you a sense of really thinking about behind every feeling or emotion is a thought. The third component of the mindfulness model is that change takes time. We want to be patient and just keep practicing. It's taken me, months of work to get to where I am today. And what's really cool is like as we learn how to gradually change our thoughts so we feel happier, we feel lighter, we're literally creating new, neural pathways in our brain that makes it easier and easier for our mind each time to find that lighter, that happier neural pathway, or finding that neural pathway that helps us work through those negative feelings faster. And number 4 is that it's never going to be 100% perfect. The goal is to really, we want to get to a place where we're feeling better, 85% of the time, 90% of the time. I still have days, and I feel like I've been practicing this mindfulness model for over a year now, that I still have days where it feels like I'm back at square one, or, I'm having a hard time working through the approach or the model that you see in front of you. And that's okay. But knowing that like 85% of the time, 90% of the time, I feel so much better and I'm able to work through those negative feelings so much faster. And I'll share with you like some of the examples of things that I've changed over the past year or so. I've changed a lot in like my own like love for myself and recognizing when I'm judging myself and being very harsh with myself, and like really trying to bring compassion and love to myself around that. I've changed how I feel about exercise. I used to need to work out 6 days a week, and it needed to be super hard workouts, at least an hour. And I was scared to go work out to a workout class or a new workout class because I didn't know if it was going to be hard enough. And then I felt really guilty if I took more than one day off a week, or I felt really guilty if I decided to do yoga that day and like it wasn't hard enough. And this is something I've really worked through the past couple of years, is being in a good place where, hey, like it's more about what's serving me and listening to my body versus thinking feeling guilty and thinking I need to be in a certain routine. And so I'm now in a place where I'll take 2 days off a week, sometimes 3 days off a week, and I really vary it up. So one day I might do yoga and that's it, quote unquote. Other days I do like HIIT workouts. And I feel like there's been a lot of work behind that to get to where I am today around that exercise. Also, some things that have changed for me, like my relationship with food has totally changed. It's always a work in progress, but I've really reduced. I'll talk more about buffering, but like my buffering or screw it moments where I'm like, oh, like just screw it. I'm going to eat the gluten or like eat the sugar or drink the alcohol. I've really worked through a lot of that, like through this model. So I just feel healthier. I don't have as many, cravings for the quote unquote bad stuff. It's pretty cool. Also, how I feel towards my job has changed a lot. How I feel towards living in San Francisco has changed a lot for me. I love living here more than I ever have before, which is so cool. I've been here for 5 or 6 years. So those are just some personal examples of how I have used the mindfulness model to really, really help me be lighter, feel happier, like, really be aware of my feelings, the thoughts triggering those feelings, and working through those.